One of the first things, of course, is bringing in as much natural light as is possible in an environment. Natural light is just something we respond well to. We get a good emotional response to natural light. And I think we kind of notice that with the change of seasons. And now that we're heading from fall into winter and it's getting dark earlier, I think we all have an emotional reaction to that. And so bringing in as much natural light, especially during the daylight hours as possible, is really important. And lighting to enhance natural light is important as well.
You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to episode 180 of Design Curious Podcast. Today on the podcast, we have returning guest Martha Lowry. She was back in episode 14, way back when, and in that episode, she shared her start and how she got into design and switching over careers. But let me give you a refresher, kind of a little bit about her. She has over 3 decades of experience in residential design. Martha has put in the time to know what's what, and honoring both hemispheres of the brain. She holds a Bachelor of Arts in Mathematics and a Bachelor of Arts in Interior Design. She is also in my international design group. We call ourselves a Design Leaders Collective, and we meet every month. And so she's just a joy to get to know and to continue to see her to work in North Carolina, where she's at. And I love her projects. Today, she's talking about biophilic design, which is something I'm learning more about. So I think you're going to enjoy our conversation with Martha today. Let's get into it. Hey, Martha, welcome back to Design Curious Podcast. It's great to have you on again.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, always like having my friends back to talk. And I know today is going to be an interesting topic about biophilic design. So let's get right into it, because maybe someone who's listening isn't even aware of what biophilic design is. So could you describe it to someone who's never heard the term before?
Certainly. So it's a somewhat new focus in the world of design and interior design. And it's really a focus on bringing the outside environment inside because of how we react to the outside environment in such a positive manner, and how comforting and calming and creative bringing that outside can be into the interior of a home in particular. So it's a focus on plants, but also light, the correct lighting, bringing in things that, release good oxygen and things like that. So with plants and things, looking at color very intentionally and what is calming color as opposed to jarring color. So things along that line.
Okay. And what initially drew you to this area of design?
I think just the focus on nature, looking at what really provides the best environment for my clients. I have a lot of older clients, and they are really looking for that peace and calm in their environment. They still want a comfortable home, but they want a real emotional response to their environment. And biophilic design kind of goes along with this whole study of neuroaesthetics, which is really how we react to beauty in the environment and how we want beauty in our environment and what is beauty and how it's subjective. So all of those things come into play.
Okay. So what kind of changes are your clients looking at when you come in and you're like, they might not specifically ask for a biophilic design, right? But you're going to bring it to them anyway. So what kind of changes maybe are you looking to make in their homes that would resonate with a biophilic design?
One of the first things, of course, is bringing in as much natural light as is possible in an environment. Natural light is just something we respond well to. We get a good emotional response to natural light. And I think we kind of notice that with the change of seasons. And now that we're in, heading from fall into winter and it's getting dark earlier, I think we all have an emotional reaction to that. And so bringing in as much natural light, especially during the daylight hours as possible, is really important. So that's one of the big changes. So maybe in some respects, not a lot of heavy curtains, not a lot of heavy window treatments. Those have lightened up over the last decade or so anyway. And lighting to enhance natural light is important as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree that lighting is so important. And especially because as we're recording this, it's, heading into winter and we're like getting those short days. I just love having as much natural light as possible come through the windows. And it definitely does take an effect on you.
It does.
Some people don't recognize it consciously, but, as a designer, you kind of have a responsibility to make sure, whether they're asking for it or not, right, to improve their mental health by bringing in that natural light. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. That's all very true. And I would say too, changes in color. So as I mentioned before, looking at colors that are calming, not necessarily just pale colors or real neutral colors, but colors that we respond well to. And there's a whole psychology of color where we respond well to, particularly right now, blues and greens, again, pulling nature into the interior, especially with the greens and things. Some of the berry colors are important right now. I'm trying to think what the new Pantone color of the year is, but it's a warm, if I'm remembering correctly, it's kind of a warm, neutral color. And, really focusing on that and bringing color in so that you don't just have stark white environments. That's not as calming as I think some people think it is. It comes across as being sterile and institutional. And so I think if we can warm up our environments with some color, we're all better off.
For sure. Yeah. Good. So what about looking at the plants aspect of it? Is it necessary to have actual live plants? Can we achieve anything by bringing in some silks? Or, some people have strong opinions either way, but what's your opinion about?
Well, I think if you can do live, but I think silks are fine, especially a good quality silk plant. Just anything in that leafy, natural feel. And I think too, bringing in materials from outside, like I'm looking at the background of your wall and that beautiful wood, and bringing in wood tones and real wood into the environment is also really important. So, not just solely a focus on plants, but yes, I would agree. I think if you can do live plants, that's the way to start. And they give off a good vibe.
Yeah, it's making me think of that practice. I think they do it in Japan where they have like forest bathing or something like that, where the doctors will actually prescribe this to people because being in a natural environment can be so healing to your body.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we all feel a sense of peace and calm when we walk through a beautiful outdoor experience, whether it's a nature walk or in a garden, that just makes you feel really, really good. And I know I was in Victoria, British Columbia back in the fall and went to Bouchard Gardens, which is just a phenomenal garden and different types of gardens. So there was a Japanese garden, there was a sunken garden, there was a beautiful rose garden, dahlias. And just walking through that, you just felt so good. And the color, responding to the colors and everything. And then you hit the Japanese garden, which is all very green and serene, and you just feel that peace come over you. And it's a really, really great feeling. Yeah,
Yeah, and I guess that's also a recommendation for bringing home fresh flowers every week, right? And bring some of that
absolutely.
inside,
Absolutely.
like build it into your budget to bring some
Yes, yes.
fresh
I think
flowers.
it's a small thing, but I think when I go, I always get excited in the fall because I love tulips.
Mm-hmm.
And my local grocery store starts having tulips at a good price in the fall and all through winter. So every week I bring home tulips.
Nice.
And it just makes me feel good to walk past a vase of tulips.
Yeah.
And especially in the dead of winter. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I like forcing amaryllis bulbs in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
And especially having those right after the holidays where I just get a lot of bloom of color. And as a post-holiday doldrum sets in, it really lifts your spirit.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
for
mhm.
sure. Yeah, all those bright colors during the holidays is so fun when it's
Yes,
a
it
little
is.
drab out.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. January can feel a little drab.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, yes, I think fresh flowers are great. And you don't have to be an expert flower arranger or anything, just to put a bunch of tulips in a vase. They're so pretty, and so many flowers are just so pretty. Just put them in a vase of water. There are a lot of really good indoor plants that require very little maintenance, water maybe once a week. Sometimes some can go twice a week, like spadophilia, which is a really pretty indoor green plant, and it requires very little attention.
Mm.
And succulents require very little attention. They only have to be watered like every 3 weeks, maybe. And even air ferns, they're just fun and they require no attention. So, yeah,
That's
it doesn't take a whole lot of work to bring some of that inside.
nice. Is there anything to think about, like in shapes, mimicking nature in our furniture or artwork or bringing in wallpapers or anything like that that we should
Absolutely.
consider?
Absolutely. I'm seeing in a lot of the trade publications, obviously, we've had a resurgence in interest in wallpaper over the last few years, and I'm seeing more floral patterns in wallpaper, and I think it's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
We got away from that for a long time, but it's nice to bring that back in. And you don't have to use it in large doses. You can just do an accent wall or do it in a powder room that you're not necessarily in all the time, but you go in every so often and there's a bright, cheery floral paper. And I think, yes, in terms of shape, an emphasis on organic shapes as opposed to real hardline geometrics
Mm-hmm.
is also important. Curves are a little more interesting than boxy squares.
Mm-hmm.
And they appeal to us because, well, we have curves,
Right.
and, and so we tend to like curves. So yes, I think that's important to
Mm-hmm.
go with organic shapes. And I would say too, bringing in artwork. You can see behind me. I know it's not going to be shown, but I have a lot of artwork. Almost every wall in my house has artwork. I love to support local artists
Mm.
as much as possible, but also when I travel, I like to pick up art, and a lot of it is inspired by nature.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, some florals. I'm looking at a picture that my sister painted for me of a hummingbird,
Oh.
which is beautiful. It really, to me, brings the outdoors in. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yes, all three of those things are very important in terms of an emphasis on biophilic design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. If I'm trying to create a space that is more calming for my clients, like if they have a busy schedule all the time, I do like to bring in landscapes and
Mhm.
things of nature. And especially if it is a local artist, because they'll have landscapes that are familiar, that are of the surrounding area. You're like, oh, that's the California hills and, whatever in my area.
Yes.
And so I think that is beneficial because you can't always get out. And then I think also people who work from home, maybe in home offices, if they can't get out all the time, they're just stuck in their house. And then having that nature scene will help keep them calm and grounded as they're, maybe
Yes.
working on the computer all the time.
Yes, I think that's really important because so many of us are working from home these days. And
Hmm.
as you said, we're stuck in front of a computer for a lot of the day. And having other things to look at really makes that more workable.
Hmm.
I am currently sitting in my den. I like to sit in here a lot because I have two French doors and a large window in between that look out on my patio. And to me, that's just really bringing nature in.
Hmm.
And I have a beautiful red Japanese maple right now. When I look at that, it just makes me feel really, really good to see that space. So, yes, like I said, supporting local artists. And as you said, things, familiar scenes
Hmm.
can really make a difference. I grew up in West Virginia, so I have some art of the mountains and things, and rhododendron that is a state flower and all. And it just makes me happy to see those things. It's a personal, emotional connection.
Yeah.
And I think that too is a lot of what biophilic design is about. It's about that emotional connection, or emotional connection to nature, to our environment. And I don't think we can downplay that at all. I
Mm.
think we really need to step into that and recognize that we do absolutely have emotional connections to our environment, and that
Mm.
those connections are very important.
For sure. Yeah. So, how did you go about learning more details about biophilic? Is there resources that we could reference for people who might be interested in exploring this area a little more?
Yes, there obviously is a lot more information online now about it. And there is a group called Science of Design, and they talk a lot about biophilic and neuroaesthetics as a science, and really with application to interior design. And that's a good resource for information.
Okay.
Science
Yeah.
of Design.
Great.
Mhm.
Good. Okay. I love that. Is there any other recommendations you would make to designers listening who want to start being conscious of and designing with biophilic design in mind?
Obviously, learning what it is, how to incorporate it into your design work, and just being conscious of that as a focus can be really a game changer in terms of your work and
Hmm.
how creative you can be. So, yes, I think just, doing a little research, making sure you understand what it's all about. But again, using your creative abilities to explore those different avenues that we've talked about, like light and plants, and bringing nature inside in many different ways through materials and things like that.
Hmm. Yeah, really good. And it's just another level of expertise and, insight that you can bring to each project that just makes you even more valuable to the client in areas that they might not even realize. So that's great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I would stress never forgetting that not only do we have emotional attachments to our environment, our clients especially have emotional attachments to their environment.
Hmm.
And we need to understand what that is. We need to have a lot of communication with them about that. What pieces of furniture, what pieces of art, what accessories, what colors, all of that, what materials are important to them, that make them feel good and at peace and calm and happy in their environment.
Hmm. Yeah, because everybody might resonate with a different type of nature environment. Maybe some are drawn more towards the mountains or the beach or desert, right? So there's going to be different colors and shapes that you bring forward in each of those scenarios. So probably exploring it
Absolutely.
with your client and seeing, what did you grow up with, or what really makes you happy when you're starting to the design process. Yeah.
Absolutely, Rebecca. I think that's so important. And yes, looking at what we grew up with, because a lot of that plays into how we feel currently about our environment is,
Hmm.
what are we bringing from our past
Yeah.
and into the future? We can never discount that.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, like someone who, visited the beach every summer growing up, but maybe they lived in the mountains or something, but you might not have known that they had an affinity for the beach and they wanted to see
Right.
those ocean colors in their home, because it just meant so much in the memories of them growing up. So yeah, it's
Right.
good things to
Exactly.
explore. Yeah.
Hmm.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Martha, for sharing your expertise on biophilic design and getting us thinking about how to bring that to our clients.
Absolutely. I'm happy to share that information. And I'm exploring even more about the subject myself. So, I think we just need to always continue learning.
For sure. Yeah. Anytime we're at market and different events that, offer CEUs and different things
Right.
and biophilic and those areas, it'd be good to sign up for it so we can expand our knowledge on that.
Absolutely.
Well, great. Thank you for coming on again today. And
Thank
I'm
you.
sure, talk with you again soon.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rebecca. I appreciate it very much.
So if you'd like to reach out to Martha or see her website, it's designofthetimesinc.com. And go ahead and get to know Martha a little bit more. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And don't forget, I have great things for you, freebies, downloads in the show notes. And My Design Mentor is always there if you're needing some coaching or mentoring in the interior design career. All right, that's all I have for you this week. Next week, we'll have another great episode. And until then, stay creative. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.